back. Welcome back to Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast. And we told you we're going to continue to share life experiences. We have another amazing guest, and you know I love to have my men on here too. We want to welcome Sir Charles. Sir Charles, if you could come up and introduce yourself, and then we're going to.
First and foremost, thank you for having me. I am Sir Charles Cary, and I do a plethora of things. I am fortunate and gifted and grateful that I have been a content creator, but a personal professional development content creator, as well as a creator of the arts. That means I'm a singer, songwriting, producer. So I work on both sides of the microphone. And, I've written about 7 books. Some of them you'll see right here. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk about it later. But I've written books. I've done keynotes around the country. Some of my programs are in various places around the world, and so is my music. So I am grateful to have the opportunity to lift up others and to share messages that make a difference.
Thank you so much. So as we usually do, Sid is not here tonight, so I'm gonna run this through my girl. So we balance each other. So I'm gonna do my best on this.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah. As always, we start from childhood. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, some of the things that you may have went through, and we're going to vibe off of you, and we're going to move on from there.
Well, my childhood, I can't say that it was like any other, but I'll just say specifically, I've always been an inquisitive person. I've always had questions, so I was very uncertain of myself, mainly because I didn't know things. So hence the reason for the questions, hence the reason for, why this and why that. And even until or into my adulthood, I'm still the same way. I do have a lot of questions. I like learning. I'm curious. I ask questions. I engage and interact with people of various backgrounds. I don't care how old you are, how young you are, what's your race, what's your political affiliation. That's just who I am and how I'm made. However, for me, coming up in Harlem, it was one of those things that sort of positioned me in a uncertain way to become the person I am now. You see, I had so many questions. I wanted to fit in and understand and do what the older boys did and do what the other kids were doing, and the peer pressure hit me all at one time, where I dug a hole for myself and I became a substance abuser. I was a substance abuser for about, maybe a quarter of a century, and I knew all this. At the same time, I knew that it was not a life for me. However, that's the place I resided in for a very long time, until one day it dawned on me, and I think that was God speaking to me, saying that this is not a life for you. It's time to make that transition. And that's exactly what happened. I was able to make that 180-degree transition in life and start anew, so to speak. Look at life through a different lens. Meanwhile, I have 3 children. I don't know which way is up, and I'm really trying to live life on life's terms with a sober mind for the very first time. And I'm all of like my late 30s. And I'm like, whoa, it took me this long to kind of like get my feet under me, and they still were not truly under me. So, one thing led to another. Relocated with other family out of state in the DMV, came down. I was married, because I'm starting to do things differently. And the first thing they tell you when you're getting yourself together, don't make any major decisions in your first year. So what did I do? I made a major decision in my first year. Just got to mess the game up, But that led to 10 years of uncertainty with another person when I still did not know myself. And it led to a bad relationship, which turned into a divorce, which turned into, just chaos. And, I can go on and on, but that's what my childhood brought me from and led to. And there were a lot of things in there, of course, I did not cover, but I did every drug you could probably think of, except for intravenous drugs. And I had so many life experiences that were sideways and upside down. And it's just amazing that I'm still here. Only to find out that, yeah, you can have your life turned upside down and still something good can come out of it. Drug addict, two-time cancer survivor. Oh yeah, I've gone through it, and I was able to talk about it. I wrote about it in my book, which was an Amazon bestseller. So I am grateful to be here.
Okay, we got a lot to talk about. You see me over here writing.
I see you taking notes, copious notes.
Absolutely, you know. I want to go back to your childhood real quick because inquisitive, a lot of people may not know. So I just want to go into a little bit. Always having questions. Did always having questions get you in trouble?
It got me in trouble in a couple of ways. In school, because I was always talkative. Now, that's not always asking questions. I'm just talking so much. Again, trying to fit in, asking questions, not being sure, trying, all the different things that a talkative kid would do. And then with adults outside of school, you get popped in your mouth because stop trying to be so smart. I'm trying to understand. But maybe they didn't have answers and I was ahead of them in certain ways. So I hit them with a curveball and they didn't see it coming. But that's just how God made me. So it did get me in trouble in different ways.
Okay. Born in Harlem. I just learned something new about you. I didn't know you were born. I thought you were from the DMV.
Nixon 5. Oh,
okay. So Harlem positioned you to want to fit in. I mean, not life position you to want to fit in. Can you tell me a little bit about wanting to fit in and why you wanted to fit in?
Well, it was cool, The girls like the older boys, the girls like the cool boys. When I think I wrote about it in my book. I was talking about the fact that when they were wearing skips, they graduated to PF Flyers. By the time I got to wear PF Flyers, they was wearing Pro Kids or Converse. When I got to Pro Kids, they started wearing Super Pro Kids. And then when I got to Super Pro Kids, they was wearing Pumas. So I was always behind. It felt, like I wasn't down. I wasn't cool. I didn't know what was up. I knew what was up, but I couldn't get down like the other kids. And that was a big thing, fitting in, peer pressure. And that was a big part of, just wanting to be seen, wanting to be accepted. And something that I felt for a very long time, I was not able to do. And I remember the first time that I met, for example, someone of notoriety. I met a politician, Charles Cary, and I was like, oh, wow, I met somebody. Meanwhile, I would see them in newspapers. I would see them on the news, on television, but I'd never had seen anyone. And I think it was like maybe 9. And I guess maybe most kids, that wasn't a big deal. But to me, it was because I'm seeing people that look like me on television. I'm seeing celebrities and athletes, and I'm like, still have all these questions about life and, what a celebrity is and being a singer and being an actor or a basketball player. And I just felt so kind of alone in my own silo, the silo of one, the silo in my head, that when I met, I think it was Congressman Rangel at the time, that meant so much to me. People was going to the Apollo and I'd never gone. I even heard other kids talking about going to the Apollo Theater. And I'm like, well, why I can't go? I've never seen the Temptations. I've never seen James Brown, and that made me feel like an outsider. I just did not seem to fit in.
Okay. So while we're there, I wanted to ask, why do you feel like you wanted to be accepted? What made you feel that way?
I think I felt that way because other people were experiencing things that I was not, simply put. Other kids were experiencing things that I simply was not experiencing, and that meant something, because it was such a big thing in their lives, such a big thing in their minds. Why can't I experience that, Which led me to doing drugs. When I got a chance to do things that were either taboo or whatever, because I think I was 13 the first time I really started doing drugs, and I remember we took a school trip to DC. So all the boys chipped in. We got some weed and some cherry bamboo paper and some Boone's Farm wine. And we was on the other side of the bus smoking and drinking like we was like, oh yeah, this is it. And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the sensation was. I didn't know anything about the feeling or the experience of getting high until later on at 13, maybe soon to be 14. I would hang out with my brother that was 7 years older, and because we would go to parliaments, he was into Islam, and we would sit around and do our studies on who we are as people, and it was common to smoke weed, but still philosophize and learn at the same time, which for some people would say, how are you going to learn if you're getting high? Well, every culture has its own way of doing things, just like the Indians smoke from the peace pipe, or they would experience with peyote.
And you done move right into what I wanted to ask next. I was going to ask you what age. You said 13. Can you talk about, and this may be a little bit because we want people to realize, because there are so many people that have an addiction that they're fighting, and it's so hard for them to overcome after decade after decade after decade. They continue to relapse, or they have completely destroyed their lives. And the purpose of this is showing people that they can change, that they should have hope, they should have faith. So hopefully your testimony will help people that are struggling to overcome their addiction. You started at the age of 13 smoking weed. Do you feel like you were forced, or that was a fitting stage of your life? Just because they were doing it, you did it?
Well, I think my curiosity got the best of me, and if they were doing it and nothing seemed to be wrong with them, or nothing seemed to be happening to them that was bad, I could try, kind of like, I guess it's okay. And then when I did try it and nothing seemingly bad happened to me, okay, I'll do it again and again and again, until I got to a point in life where it was what we did, meaning from 13 to like maybe 16, I would hang out with certain friends, and that was part of our activity. We would get together, get a bag of weed, get a couple of quarts or a couple of 40s, whatever it was, and we would watch TV, watch music shows, hang out in the park if it was summertime, and it was no thing. It became normalized. And there's a quote or a phrase that's used that I would highly recommend young people learn or realize about themselves, and it's that, why are you trying so hard to fit in when it's obvious you were made to stand out? Simply put. Simply put. Now, I know it's not the normal feeling when everyone else seems to be doing this, going there, having their fun, and you may feel like I'm missing out on something, but maybe you probably simply are not supposed to do that thing, that activity, go to those places, deal with those people.
So from 13 to 16, you smoking and drinking. Did you ever get caught by any adults? And if you did, what were the consequences?
Well, that's kind of weird and challenging at the same time, because my stepfather smoked, and there came a point when he was like, you want to hit? And because I was already smoking, I was like, I look around like if anybody's watching, I'd be like, because I had already experienced it. See, first it was once on a school trip, once here and there, once or twice over several months when I might go visit my brother and hang out. So I began to understand. So when he offered it to me, it was like, yeah, because I know what that's like. I'm cool. I'm down. I'm getting out my pops. Yeah. And then my friends at those ages was like, oh, snap, Charles. That's mad cool. You getting out with your father? Oh, word. right? And my mom would be, look, you don't need that stuff. You don't need that stuff in your body. But it didn't trigger in for me because now I'm fitting in. Yeah, this is the space I want to be in. I'm cool in the gang. My friends can't even do this with they folks or with their crew or their family. They all got to sneak like we used to. I don't have to sneak. I can go in my room, light an incense, open the window or close the door and do what I'm doing. So I
And
didn't get in trouble.
your mother was for that? Your mother knew.
She knew, but she wasn't for it. She
Okay.
definitely was not for it, because we come from a religious background, which I learned there's a big difference between religion and spirituality. So even though she was from a religious background and we have spirituality with religion, the reality of the situation is that religious is just the practice of things. The spirituality is the actual relationship with the Most High. And I didn't learn that or embrace that until much later in my life. And once I did embrace it, then I kind of understood that, okay, I don't have to believe in everything that people are saying, or I can learn the difference between my religious practices and my spiritual relationships and my spiritual learning. So, it's all good. I'm learning, I'm grateful. And, you know, those things that I experience, I believe they happen for a purpose. And, God gives us the freedom of choice. Even though I was young, I made bad choices or choices that would lead to consequences that I would learn from later. I would have to answer to later. And once I learn from those choices, then it's up to me to have the wisdom or the wherewithal to take advantage of that experience. How can you benefit from this? And that would not come until much later in my life.
Now, with your stuff, did you and your stepfather have a good relationship? Like the whole entire relationship?
Yes and no. He was a manipulative person and he was also a jealous person. My mother loved me so much because my older brother, he was 7 years older, literally disappeared. We have no idea what happened to him. So I'm sure the love that my mother had for me grew even greater because of my brother's disappearance. And those outside of, and I guess maybe inside too, the family dynamic, probably knew and could see, not that she sheltered me, but she loved me dearly and deeply. But you would say, well, all parents love their children. All parents should love their children deeply. But my stepfather was from a broken family. And my mother's love for me wasn't just expressed in words and actions, but I feel the energy was so great, it made him jealous at times. See, when an adult teases a child about the attention or the affection that another adult, the mother or any other adult gives the child, it's like, why would an adult make fun of a child because another adult is recognizing this child in such a way, especially if he's supposed to be the father figure? Now, he and I had many challenges and clashes, and what wound up happening was there was times that he would challenge me and try to force me to do things so he'd have a reason to strike out against me. But because he couldn't, that probably angered him even more. And he couldn't get under my skin. Well, he did get under my skin, but he couldn't get me to react to justify his malbehavior until later in life when one day I just had to curse him out. Now, it's not that I had to, but the reality is that I did because I was ready to do something to him. And this is like, I mean, really later in life. It's like, imagine a pot and it's boiling. You see it's boiling, and then you hear the whistling because the steam, and then all of a sudden the pot it's not only steaming and whistling, but all the water is coming out. So now the pot's about to burn. It's like you can only take but so much. And I really wanted to hurt him. And my sister basically begged me to not do anything. Stay out of it, Charles. Don't say nothing, Charles. And that pissed me off more. But because I did not do anything, I think it wound up being the best response, even though I really wanted to hurt him. I wanted to hurt him bad because of how he was treating my mother as they were both getting older. If my brother was around, I don't know what would have happened, but it was really a contentious relationship, many occasions, because like I said, we used to get high together. I would go buy his weed for him. He would give me weed, and we had this thing back and forth. But he would always say, "Son, you're the only one who really understands me." And he's still alive today. And I call him, checking in on him. I think many of the negative feelings I have has subsided, but he's laying in the mess that he made for himself because his life could have been a lot better. But he made bad decisions, which placed him exactly where he is, alone in an assisted living home, wanting to be somewhere else, and he has no other choice. So whether he's faking or not, he's got to live with those thoughts, live with those memories, and know that no one's coming to save him. Oh, well.
And now thinking back, do you think that it was appropriate for him to smoke weed with you at a young age, or even giving you weed? Just a thought. Do you think that was a positive thing or negative?
Well, I would say definitely was not positive, but at the same time, God knows me, like he knows each and every one of us. And even though I had a hand in accepting it, which was a form of weakness and a form of learning, it was something that made me realize, as I sit here now and you ask that question, I'm thinking about the fact that it more than likely should not have happened. However, had it not happened, I would not have become the brand ambassador with certain keynote speakers that are world renowned. I would not have developed relationship with other keynote speakers and mentors and pioneers in the speaking game that I've learned from and that I've had many of my books forwarded or endorsed by. I mean, I've been able to do things that some people only dream of, working with Tony Broder, Dr. Willie Jolly, Delatoro McNeil, Simon Bailey. I mean, there's so many people of prominence in the personal and professional development space that I've met as I've gone out to speak and do keynotes and workshops. I may not have met them or gotten to know them had I been better off, had I not gone down that path. So because I did go down that path, now I'm able to have something to say, and not just something to say, but something very significant to say, to impress, empower, and embroaden other people in their lives so that they can learn or have the opportunity to be the best versions of themselves.
I want to go back. Your old. Are you okay to talking about your older brother?
Yeah.
Okay. Have y'all found him? Did he ever
Don't know about his demise. Don't know about his whereabouts. Have no answers whatsoever till this day. And I love my brother more than any human being on earth. And I'm talking about parents, other siblings. The only person, as far as love, that I have that can even come close to his is the love of my children. And, that's a whole nother story because we're like in a weird space, me and my kids. But I love no one like I love my brother. And I haven't seen him since I was about 16. So, yeah.
Do you think he's still alive?
I speak of him in the present tense because he's alive in my heart. And, if you're a spiritual person, as I am, you might know that many times we do things and go places, and our life walk, we are protected for a reason. And I believe his presence is always with me. And I know it's God's presence overall, but I believe because of what God allowed me to not have, becoming a man, God has protected me. But it's because of his absence. I've been in places that I probably shouldn't even be here. I've done things that probably would have me incarcerated or dead, or God knows, with any, there's so many things that could have happened to me. But because of what has been taken from my life or removed from my life, even though I don't think God did it, it was their choices in many cases, God has allowed me to be whole without the people that I love so dearly. And they say that God is a jealous God. And I believe that. And I don't know if that's the reason or if it's just that, my son, you're so fragile when it comes to this thing. Even though you don't know it, you'll never have to worry, because that's how my life has been. I've been in places that I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? Broken and condemned buildings and desolate places and dark and damp places, no lighting, no electricity. And like, why are you here, Charles? This doesn't make any sense. And yet I was still protected from the elements, protected from hurt, harm, and danger. So I'm grateful, always grateful.
Did did your brother show any signs before he went missing? And how did that change your life, your behaviors, or things that you were going through?
Well, one thing he said to me before he left my life was, don't think about none of that. I'm going to see you in heaven. This is heaven right here. We live in heaven on earth. When you're gone, you're just gone. And I'm like, what? And that was, in my opinion, his way of telling me that he might not be around. Now, there's lots of stuff which I'm not going to go into now about why that was his reason for not being around. However, I think he was trying to tell me without telling me that something was going to happen. And it made me keener, in a sense, my senses sharper, maybe more aware. But again, as a true New Yorker, your head's always on a swivel, no matter where you go, no matter what kind of environment you are in. Most of my life I've done white collar work, whereas you would think in those environments you don't have to worry about things like that because everyone is suited and booted and everything is grand and fantastic, isn't it? Wonderful day. Well, it ain't always like that. And there's always snakes in the grass somewhere. And the spirit of discernment has been one of my superpowers. People are my superpower for sure, but the spirit of discernment has always been a superpower. And the ability to communicate, I think, and I'm not trust and believe, I am not trying to gaslight this conversation. I am not trying to make myself seem to be some super dynamic. No, I know what resides in me. And I've always been able to communicate well, even in arenas that I seemingly have no business knowing about that subject matter, that content. So in other words, I can have a conversation with the best of the best, sometimes using their jargon, sometimes not, doesn't matter, but I'm able to relate and identify with people. So his disappearance has elevated my consciousness, my awareness, my ability to know things that maybe I shouldn't know, from a logical and conversational perspective. But God has allowed me to be able to know. So, yes, it has been a benefit to me in ways that I did not foresee.
I can feel your emotion about your brother, so I know that is a touchy situation. And I'm a move. I wanted to ask because sometimes the people that are close to us give us a message. And
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
us. Like it'll be nobody else. It'll be just us individually. So my heart goes out to you.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Um,
This ain't Chick-fil-A. What you doing?
huh?
So this ain't Chick-fil-A. What you
Look, I've been saying this before Chick-fil-A came around.
no, I'm with you.
I was taught right, you know.
It's all good. It's all good. Just lighten the moment because even though
uh,
it's serious and it's meaningful, I'm not overwhelmed, but I'm very passionate about the spiritual aspects of my life and the important things that have happened. And it's funny, I talk about it a lot in this book, a courage facing mortality. Cancer was not my only obstacle. And that was again, a godsend, the title, because at the time I wrote it, I was getting over being diagnosed with cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I said, Dad, you done been on drugs, you got off drugs, now you're dealing with cancer. You need to tell your story. You need to write about this.
mhm.
And I talk about all the things, the immature things, the mature things, the silly things, the things that men only talk about, how you see a woman like, damn, she got it going on. I remember the time I did blah, 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 yada, yada. All that, I poured it all into this book because, one, I didn't know any better, but at the same time, it's true. It happened. It's my story. I lived it. So, whatever.
Mhm. That's right. You share your testimony the way you could tell your testimony.
Yeah, I
People
mean, I'm not
can
going
make rumors, they can start stuff. They can't tell it. Only you could tell it how
Yep.
you're supposed to tell it. Um I wanna talk I wanna go into a few minutes about your drug addiction
Yeah.
and maybe a timeline of we know you started with weed 13 to 16 and drinking. Can you tell us like timelines of what made your different drug choices, why you chose the drug, and how long were you on the different phases of drugs?
Well, I would say overall, I used drugs for about 25, 26 years. Again, it started with marijuana and it actually started with beer before marijuana. Think about those house parties that the adults would have, and they're smoking cigarettes, playing cards, laughing, music blasting, they watching TV, not paying attention. They got so much beer, Chivas Regal, Johnny Walker, do was white label in the house, and you can smell the strength of the liquor, and then you see the beer is still sweating on the side because it's cold, but they so into what they're doing and laughing, they went and got another one. Meanwhile, this one is still cold, and it's like, ooh, that's different. Not necessarily good, not necessarily bad. And then you might just sip every now and then if nobody's looking. And so now you know what beer tastes like, or you may know what alcohol tastes like. Now you may not be drinking on a regular basis, although I know some kids that did. But in fact, I mean, I remember my parents sending me to the store with a note to give the man behind the counter because he knew my family, and he would put it in the bag and then reach over the counter and give it to me already wrapped up, which he wasn't supposed to do. So I was already exposed to the get over, the manipulation, and so forth. So drinking beer was my first, I guess, experience, and then marijuana came later. And then once that came, then I tasted wine and wanted something sweet. So it was either Boone's Farm or something like that. I don't think I ever really got into Mad Dog 2020, nothing like that. But and then as a teenager, we would drink beer, Old English, Cokie 900, whatever the case may be. And then from there, you get a chance to go to the next level. And for me, the next level was, and this is like around, I don't know, between I think 16 and 19, cocaine, sniffing coke was something. It was like, And then you eventually learn out if it's good coke or not. but that was the beginning, that time frame or that age range. And then eventually, for me anyway, I always like having my own whatever. And I would eventually buy my own, and then eventually from that, actually, you know what? I went from beer to marijuana to wine, and as a teen still, acid. We would take not Quaaludes, blotter. We would all get together because see, it was a fellowship type thing. We would take blotter, and that's like a hallucinogenic. And then from blotter, then cocaine, and then black beauties. I mean, I did the whole gamut. Like I said, even heroin, sniffing it, never shot it, but I did almost everything you can think of, every category you can think of. By the time I was, I'd say by the time I was 20, 21, but I always worked. Excuse me, I always had a good guy, clean appearance, white collar, suited job. I worked in the banking industry. I worked in the clerical administrative industry, government jobs, and I always was presentable. Excuse me. People never saw me as the kind of person that was questionable. And because I considered myself, I consider myself slick. I know how to do my thing. I always kept chewing gum, eye drops, and a small miniature cologne with me. So when I wanted to go out on lunch or do something at some point while I'm in the business mode, I thought I was covering my tracks. Cologne covers the smell of the weed. Eye drops keeps my eyes from looking red. And the chewing gum keep my breath from smelling, or mints, right? So that was a whole game when doing drugs. Do the drugs, know how to do the drugs, know how to cover your tracks. So by the time I got to be about 36, 7, before the transition of getting off drugs, I'd done every drug you can think of. Smoking crack was sort of accidental. That was the drug that really, I think, put the nail in my coffin, as one might say. A friend asked me, "Yo, Charlie, you want to get high?" It was a Saturday. I was still doing music, performing with my band at the time. So I said, yes. I got up around 12 o'clock, went to go meet him. He worked in the drug spot, in the weed spot. And I'm wondering, when we going to get high? We sitting there, we got all this weed. And then his friend, I don't remember his name, is cooking up this coke. He's cooking up the base. And I'm wondering, what the hell is going on? How long is it going to take for us to, start getting high? When it was ready, of course, crushed it up, sprinkled it over the weed, and I was blitzed. It was my first time smoking crack like that. And I was like, oh, snap. I left. It was like around 12 in the afternoon. I go outside. This is the summertime. And I was blitzed. And the thing was, I didn't realize how good it was. I thought it was a waste of my time and my money. I'm walking home, paranoid like a mug, not realizing I'm high as I could be. So from that point, I started saying to myself, I want to do this on my own so I can learn how this works. I don't want to put it in weed. I want to smoke it straight up. Worst decision I could have made. So I guess the point is, there was a point from age 13 to 38, 37, 38, that I tried every drug. Crack is what took me down. And thank God I stopped using drugs around that age, because crystal meth came out right after crack. And had I gotten hooked on crystal meth, I have no idea what would have become of me. None whatsoever. And I smoked so much crack, though, I could never, ever get enough. In fact, my early keynotes, I would tell my audiences, I want to smoke crack now. And the only reason why I don't is because I will lose the trust people have. I will lose everything that I've gained. I will lose the belief in me that people had in me. I will lose my weight, my looks. I will lose so many things, money. I will lose so much. I would lose so much because I really like smoking crack. So it came upon me to say, well, what do you like about smoking crack? I like the process. I like having it, sometimes cooking it. I like preparing it. I like getting ready to smoke it. But what I didn't like the feeling. The enjoyment of the sensation had long left me. So it was about the preparation. And that's my truth.
Steve. So I heard you say crack was the most addictive drug that you used. I also
Absolutely.
heard you say um, um, abandoned buildings um, or abandoned places. Is this because crack led you to those abandoned buildings? Um, what was the outcome of what crack did to you? What are some of the things that you did because you said abandonment? You didn't want to lose your money. You didn't want to disappoint people. There's a reason why you said those things. Crack
Like if I
must.
did it now, that's what would happen, or that's what could happen, and it's most likely to happen because I know I have an obsessive compulsive disorder. That's the kind of person I am. OCD all day long. If I get something that's good, I want more and more and more of it. And that's even on the positive side. When I started buying tailored suits, I started making sure I could buy them as often as I could because I was so extreme. So the abandoned buildings, yes, it was because of the drugs. I literally had an apartment that my stepfather had given to me, and the rent was like $120 a week, and I was making like two and a half times that much every week. And don't you know, I refused to pay my rent, so the lights was out, and I lived by candle as long as I could. I would duck the landlord. And I'll tell you one horrifying experience in particular, which paints the picture, which some people will say, well, I don't do crack, so I don't care about that. It could be crack, it could be alcohol, it could be anything. I remember falling asleep again because I had candlelight and I had the candle on the milk crate. And because the candle was on the milk crate, I fell asleep, because I got my light. I don't have regular lights. Probably had mice, don't know, but probably had mice. But I wake up and the fucking flipping milk crate was on fire because those milk crates are plastic. So the candle burnt down to the damn plastic on the milk crate and caught fire. I wake up and I'm like, I couldn't even say fire out loud because if I do, what am I going to do? Alarm everyone in the building, landlord, other tenants. So what do I got to do? I got to put the fire out. Oh my God, what do I do? I grab a pillow to start hitting the fire, but I'm like, oh no, that's going to catch fire too. So now I'm like, oh, I'm all alone in my apartment. There's no one I can talk to. I got carpet, which candle can fall, wax can fall on the carpet. That can be inflamed. So I'm blowing, waving, doing everything possible in the dark. It's like 1 o'clock at night, trying to put this fire out. And I'm like, oh snap, you could have died in here. And so now the entire apartment smells like, and it's a single bedroom apartment, like a kitchenette almost. The apartment smells like wax and fire. So I get up. Again, it's 1 o'clock in the night. I'm opening and slamming the door real close. So I'm trying to fan the smoke out of the house, the apartment. So I'm trying to get it out because I got gates on the front window. I can't open up the windows. My back is to the backyard. Can't open up that window. Only way I can get the smell out is by fanning the front door, the only door to the apartment, back and forth, hoping the big swoops of me fanning gets the smoke out of the apartment. And I don't know if it ever truly completed the process of getting the smell out. I did that as long as I could, as long as I didn't hear anybody come to the front door, as long as I didn't hear anyone walking down the stairs, as long as I could. And trust me, drug addicts, we're very clever. I didn't hear my next door neighbor opening up the peephole, and then I stopped when I thought I got enough of the smell out, locked the door, and had to try to figure out what to do and wait for the morning for the natural light to come up so I can get dressed to go out and go to work. So that's where the abandoned buildings and desolate places, the loneliness in your heart, and when you got confirmation, you're not supposed to be living like this. What
Were
the
you
flip are you
homeless?
doing? Say again?
Were you homeless?
No, I was living in that apartment that my stepfather gave me
And when
until
did
I
so
until I had to leave.
oh wow.
And then I went to live with my mother and my stepfather because he left the apartment to go live with my mother on the hill. Convent Avenue is where the rest of the family was staying. I was staying on 7th Avenue, which is I think it's called is it Malcolm X's Lenox. Is it Frederick Douglass? I think that's 8th. I forget what they renamed 7th Avenue. Adam Clayton Powell. Okay. 7th Avenue is called Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard. So anyway, about 3 to 5 blocks away, I wound up going to stay with my mom and my stepfather sleeping on the couch. Because see, I was always the good kid. I was always the reliable kid, the smart kid. Although I was a drug addict, deep in my despair. So I guess there was grace and mercy seen on me or upon me that they allowed me to come in and stay with them. Besides, I'm their son, and I stay with them and my sister. And until by chance, I ran into this girl I knew from high school, and we hit it off at a party. And I never went back to the apartment again. She and I stayed together where my addiction continued and continued for about 10 years and two more kids later.
Did she have an addiction too? Or no?
She smoked weed, but she got high with me, but that wasn't really her drug of choice. That stayed my drug of choice.
Hmm. So what
Yeah.
was your lowest? What was the waking point where you said,
I
that's
had
it,
a couple
I've
of
had
them.
enough?
I had a couple of them joints. I had a couple of lowest moments. I mean, one of the times I remember Friday, I came home because I worked a regular full-time job. I would go downtown Manhattan near where the Trade Center, where the 9/11 was. So I made money overtime working from the Bronx to Manhattan. So I always had big money. I just always messed my money up. Came home, I got so much coke, so much crack. I remember sitting in the living room just smoking and smoking and smoking and smoking. If I said it 30 more times, that wouldn't be enough. And I sat there looking like a damn zombie. And she was watching TV in the other room. I had no interest in seeing TV, had no interest in having sex. And she said, "You don't feel good, do you?" And I could hardly shake my head no. I could hardly say anything. 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe 2:30. She put on her clothes, went to the store where they don't open the door. They have the revolving window. She got some orange juice, came back, and God knows anything could have happened to her. She was only but that big anyway. She gave me some orange juice, and I began to feel like, oh, okay. Feel like myself. So what did I do? I continued to get high with whatever I had left. Baffling, cunning, and insidious. So I had several lowest moments, several, not one, not two, several. It's like God was saying, hey, hey, hey. And each time he said, hey, I ignored it or didn't realize it. And I kept going in. I like smoking crack. I like smoking bass.
I think that's how a
Unfortunately,
lot of when we see people with addictions, that's a lot of what it is and why they keep going back. Were y'all married? Is this the part of the
we
divorce?
weren't married, but see, this is the thing. When for me anyway, for me, when I tell people about this aspect of my life, I'm like, get the f out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. You, man, get out of here, man. Not you. And I understand why they say that because Charles, or as they used to call me when I was younger, Charlie ain't even like that. Come on, man. Whatever. And I understand. I literally understand. But that still doesn't change the fact that that is not only my truth, the truth. That's how I behaved. That's how I lived.
Um, I want to talk a little bit about your cancer because so many folks have been through cancer, two-time cancer survivor. How did what type of cancer did you have, and how did you beat it?
Well, I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, both sides. And the first time, my doctor was an African doctor. And after a series of tests, he says, "Sir, it seems like you've got cancer." I said, "I don't believe you." I said, "What happens if I don't do it?" He said, "I don't think you're going to survive." I said, "Okay, well, I want a second opinion." He was like, "What?" I said, "I want a second opinion." I said, "In fact, why aren't you telling me about what y'all do in Africa? Because when people in Africa get sick, you take some sap, some whatever, you boil it, you stew it, you drink it, you apply it accordingly. And, that's how you address things organically. Why aren't you telling?" He said, "Well, it's this." I said, "Same, similar is not the same." I said, "Medicine here in America is simulating natural medicine, natural healing. That's what medicine is. The vitamins and pills that we have here in America is an assimilation of natural ingredients, whether it's from fruit or vegetables or whatever." Yeah. I said, "You know what? Never mind. You don't have to give me um, your reasoning. You wanted your opportunity. You came here to America and you got it. I understand. So about the second opinion, how do I get it?" And he's like, "Well, there's John Hopkins." And I said, "Okay, let's give me the information." So I went to Johns Hopkins and they asked me a bunch of questions. And, I was like, "Yeah, no, no. I don't, only thing I feel is fatigue. I'm tired." She said, "I'll tell you what, why don't you come back in 6 months and we'll do a reassessment?" I said, "Okay." So instead of coming back in 6 months, I came back in, I think, 3 years. And they said, "It's spread. It's all over the place. It's in your back. It's in your hip. It's in your side. We should address this." I said, "Okay, well, tell me what you're going to do." "Well, we need to give you chemo." So answered the questions. I mean, I got the answers to my questions, and they gave me the chemo. Voila, it all goes away. There you have it, right? And I thought everything was pretty good until 8 years later, it came back more aggressively. I think this is how we know our food supply, um, maybe some of the things we drink. Well, I would include the liquids in the food supply, obviously the sugars, all these things, which I still have not behaved properly, if you want to be technical about it. Excuse me. All of these things contribute and have contributed to Americans getting sick and getting sick much quicker. If you look at tangerines and oranges, you know, organically modified food, I mean, why can't I want seeds in my fruit? If they're supposed to have seeds, I want them. I mean, our country wastes more food probably than any other country on the planet. And we waste so much food and go through so much that they're creating food, they're simulating food, they're cloning basically foods so that we can have food. But meanwhile, we're still the biggest waste or wasters. I don't know the proper terminology We waste more food than any other country. We don't have respect for ourselves or our food supply or our nutritional way of life. So I truly believe that that's a big part of it. And I blame a lot of that on media, talking about television commercials, and if you look at media, you'll learn that many of the commercials are intentionally, psychologically created to entice your appetite. So these things are just real, and these things are a big part of why we have some of the problems with our health as Americans and why we're obese, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, we get used to it. We like it. And we don't want nobody telling us about what not to eat. We want what we want. I get it. Don't make it good. Doesn't make it right. But we're part of our own problem. So, yeah, it was quite a challenge, but I had to deal with it. Second time around was very similar, but I'll tell you one thing, for all of you believers, I never blame God. I never ask why. And in a great sense, it's like, why not me? If he's used me for what he's used me for thus far, why not me? If he knows that he's going to pull me through, why not me? He's using his child, his creation, to let others know what's possible if you have belief, if you have faith. And I am grateful because I never questioned God, I never damned God, never cursed God, never felt it was someone else's fault. I mean, all the drugs I did, that's good enough.
I want to ask, I can't believe an hour has gone already. So,
okay, I'm sorry.
It went by fast, but before we go, I have two things before we end. Can you give the audience advice from your personal life experience? We're not therapists, we're not psychologists. We are based off of life experiences and what you have experienced. Based off your life experience, can you give someone, especially men, because it's harder to get men to speak, especially Black males. So I love. I was telling someone today, sharing my men's. I love sharing everybody, but when the men come on, I'm so thankful to hear y'all testimonies. Can you give someone from your personal life experience that may be struggling with drug addiction, cancer, life, things that you have experienced? What advice would you give them to overcome what they are going through now that helped you?
It's not just in the Black community, but I'll just say this. We got
all communities. It's all.
We got all these phrases. Mm-hmm. We got popular phrases like, let's keep it a buck, keep it 100. We don't not only have the words, but we even say it a certain way. If you don't say it a certain way, it don't sound a certain way, It ain't real. No cap, all that, whatever you want to think of. We got all these words because we got so much swag. But at the end of the day, are you living or are you existing? And you have to face that reality. Understand that no one, and I mean absolutely no one, or very few people, maybe 5%, possibly 10% of the people in this world will ever volunteer to live for you. And those people probably are your parents in most cases, or people that love you sincerely. But the reality is they can't. Even if they would want to, they can't. And it hurts. Men, we are prideful. We are egotistical. I'm not saying that women are not. Women are prideful. Women cheat. Women lie. But we are prideful, and it's hard for us to admit many things because we were told and we were taught, you're a sucker if you do this. You're a punk if you do that. Man, you better stop crying. Man up. What the F is wrong with you? Stop playing. Be a man. Act like you know. Know what I mean? All those phrases, all those sayings, and all those things you've been hearing since you was yay high, and now you're a full-grown man, and you may be wondering, why did this happen? Where did my life go? Where did time go? I personally think you can enjoy your life a lot better if you really do keep it real with yourself. And how you keep it real with yourself is realizing, again, no one is going to volunteer for you, not to live for you. No one. I mean, not one single solitary person. So why are you not able to embrace the fact that you're not perfect? No one is. Why can you not embrace the fact that if you're hurt, you're hurt. If you're vulnerable, you're vulnerable. You know what? Those are feelings and emotions of human beings. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Latino, or other. We all hurt. We all feel vulnerable. We all feel sorry. You know, when you can admit something that's bad, especially, what more can they do to you? Whatever it is. If you can admit that you did something, what more can be done to you? Which is why I wrote my book series, Radiate the Brain and Change the Game. You have to change the way you think in order to get different results. What's so hard about being you? Where's that at? Right here. What's so hard about being you?
Hold on before you go right there. I'm gonna give you a whole segment on that. Some time on that right there.
But there's so much more I can say on what you asked me, because the reality, you know, we make things more difficult for ourselves than we need to. And I'm talking about men and women alike. I don't care about your race. I don't care how much money you got, because of our pride. Yeah. I'm gonna look funny. Look how they looking at me. You don't know what they're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
They may be going through the same exact thing that you're going through. They may have done it worse than you have. And guess what? Once again, they're not going to volunteer to live for your mess.
Mm-hmm.
Just like they can't volunteer to live for your success. Mm-hmm. That's the real. You want to keep it a buck? Face that reality. And, you know, when I talk about all the books and all that, I'm grateful that I had an opportunity. I never wanted to be an author. I wanted to be this singer and, you know, do songs like Earth, Wind, and Fire and Michael Jackson. And okay, I'm grateful I've been able to do that, and I'm still doing that. Got shows.
And you're good at it too.
I'm grateful. You're am grateful.
Good. Yeah.
But you know, we just got to keep it a buck. No matter what it really is, how are you really living? How are you getting down? Mm-hmm. You can be a carpenter, an electrician, a counselor, whatever, a bookkeeper. It doesn't matter. Are you living real or are you living foul? Mm-hmm. You got to face yourself in the mirror. And then, my dad told me this, and I talk about it in my book, and I talk about it when I do my keynotes. If you can't look at yourself in the mirror, that's a problem.
That part, because I've been there. I have been there. But I wanted, when we created, and I'm gonna get to a shameless plug in 1 second. When we created the podcast, the one thing that I said is a lot of folks wanted me to cater to specific community. I grew up in a rainbow, and I know that there's trauma that lies in all different nationalities, men and women. And I said, that's not how I want to operate. I want to share everybody's testimony, because we lie in different beds. Everything is different. But I do know, growing up in the Black community with friends, being diverse with my friends, is that we are told, like you said, don't say nothing. But my friends are getting help because their family is making sure they get that help. So when I say the Black community is, I wish more Black brothers would come out and talk about their issues, instead of feeling like they got to hold it in because somebody's going to make fun of them or talk about them or make them feel insecure or mess with their ego, because there's so many people going through it. And I've watched a lot of my Black brothers destroyed because even if they tell their girlfriend, they get in an argument, guess what she doing? She throwing it in his face. Even if he go get help, he crazy, you know. So
I got a therapist, and I like therapy personally. I am a counselor, but you know what? You can't count. A lot of times you can't counsel yourself, but you are responsible for making good decisions. But I like therapy personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, therapy is good. I tell people, There is nothing wrong for everyone. I don't care what color you are, what race you are. There's nothing wrong with you getting professional help to start your journey to healing. So I want to go into, so we have shameless plug too. So you see all your information scrolling across the bottom. This is your time to talk about your books, your websites where people can reach out to you. You have the floor.
Well, I'll say this. I've been grateful to do the things that I've done, things that I do, and the things that I've done. I didn't know that I was going to become an author. I did not know that I would have the opportunity to do keynotes. I've always loved music. Music has never let me down. So I've been able to write 7 books. Courage Facing Mortality, which is a memoir about from the beginning to the end, all the things I learned, all the things I did, all the dirt I dug, and I keep it raw. And it became an Amazon bestseller. And I think also some of my best work is the Radiate the Brain book series. Radiate the Brain and Change the Game talks about the things that happen to you that you don't see coming and how you deal with it, like risk and fear, and actually the benefit of making mistakes. People normally hide from mistakes, but this book will let you know the reality. What's so hard about being you? A lot of us don't want to admit what's hard about being ourselves because either we have not looked or we think we're perfect. And the way I write in a fashion that if you can't understand this book, you don't want to understand it. It's an interactive book. I'm asking you questions about you, things that you know, others may know, but it's your own personal resource. This is something you can read and write about, and you may go back and say, you know what? I've grown since then. Aligned by design, linked into your legacy. We all have a gift, a skill, or a talent, and it's up to us to tap into it. And I made a post the other day. No matter what, no one's coming to save you. No matter how wrong you've been treated, how badly you've been treated, it's up to you to face the discomfort and get over it because there's another level of discomfort waiting for you. Each level of discomfort in life is there for a reason. It's to make you stronger, wiser, and better so that you can get to the next level and the next level and the next level. We should always be learning so that we can level up. And the Radiate the Brain book series does just that. And you can find all of these books on my website, sircharlescary.com. And I believe they're even discounted in certain cases, depending on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to purchase. They're workbooks, they're books, they're audio programs. And look, if you need coaching, that's something I will consider it, but I'll be very honest with you. I go in deep, I go in hard. And if you're really serious, we can get the work done. And it's not a 1, 2, 3 thing. It takes time. Yes, I am a musician, and I believe we all have different skills, gifts, talents, and abilities. But don't play yourself short and don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Don't assume because someone has multiple talents, they may not be able to help you in one area. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I love what I do because I love people, which is why I'm still dealing with things on both sides of the microphone, which involves people in great numbers. So I want to thank Demetria again for giving me this opportunity. And I hope you are wise enough to take advantage of the opportunity for yourself. I always tell people you've got to radiate the brain and change the game and be part of the energy.
Thank you so. I'm sorry. Look, I'm clicking buttons. Thank you
Okay.
so much, Sir Charles. I'm telling you, go check out your music. Sir Charles supported our nonprofit organization, The Good Fight, for our 5th annual event. And anyone that knows me knows that I am so passionate about The Good Fight. This is a part of why the podcast was created, from me sharing my testimony, and it helped so many. And Sir Charles is doing some amazing things. You didn't tell the folks about your upcoming event as well,
No,
because
I'm
you have
just
an
thinking
upcoming
about
event.
that. No, we're going to be at Stilettos in Capitol Heights, Maryland, on the 7909 Central Avenue on July 26th from 4 to 8 p.m. We're going to have Carl T. Smith, straight from New York, debuting his new album. We're going to have Soul City Collective performing some of them songs you know you love and like. And we're going to have yours truly, Sir Charles Cary, debuting my new album titled Sucker for Love. And I'm excited about it. It's a live taping, live show. You want to be there. Probably this event will become a live recording as well. So we'll probably put out an album based on this live. Like you have the live shows, live in Las Vegas, whatever. This will be one of a similar fashion. And I'm excited about it because this is my sweet spot. If I'm not on one side of the mic, I'm on the other, which is why I say you've got to be part of the energy. And if you go to Eventbrite, I'll just give it away. Use the code.
Nope, no.
And you
Come
can
support
get
Sir
in.
Charles.
And you can get in and will not be you will not be sorry that you did, because this is a live. I mean, when I say live, I'm talking about lights, cameras, action, all that. So make it happen. We got new merch. Oh man, we're excited about it. We're
Come get
excited.
some merch. Come support his event. Just when people say support businesses, this is a band that I just highly recommend. And I received so much feedback. Sir Charles. And I hope y'all are going to be at our next annual event, because I'm going to be calling you up.
And look,
But
I will say this. I won't give it away, but I've been doing trivia questions like every day, every other day. If you get the trivia question right, I'll hit you in your inbox and tell you how you can take advantage of getting to this event at a real discount.
there you go, right there. But
Check
yeah,
out the trivia.
come support Sir Charles. Please do. You know y'all have a special place in my heart. And let me tell you, them women that he got on the mic, woo! Yes, they blow it.
They gets it in.
They gets it in, let me tell you. And I'm gonna stamp that. Clock that, my youth say, clock that T.
You go. You already know.
Yeah. So we want to thank everybody. We're over time, but I love wonderful, great conversations. And we didn't even get through all the Sir Charles stuff. Like he has I have a list going on. So we may have to come back with a part 2.
Let me know.
I will. So make sure you tune in each and every Monday at 8 p.m. Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast if you would like to be a guest. Let me scroll our information real quick. Hold on. If you'd like to be a guest, the information scrolling at the bottom, how you can support us. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast. And we're going to continue to share life experiences. And come on, men. Oh, my men. We got a lot of men coming up. But I love when men step out and put their pride to the side to help others, because we hear more from women. We do, because women were more prone to share our testimony. It's a little bit more challenging for men. So when men get to that stage, I got to give them a pat on the back. So definitely. Anything else you want to say, Sir Charles, before we close it out?
Nah, listen, just be the best version of you. I mean, enjoy life and keep it real.
Yep. Okay, you hold while we wrap up, Sir Charles. Make sure you tune in, and we're going to keep sharing life experience. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace.